It's a bitter melon. I don't understand why you don't like that. It's so good. Không ăn có ngày cũng hư. I'm preparing this for you all day and you're not quen hả? Ăn thử đi, không chết đâu mà lo. Come on nào, ăn đi con. Eat it.
Wait, it's not as scary as it sounds. This is a bitter melon. Today we're focused on this guy. It's bumpy, wrinkly, kind of strange looking, and super bitter, but it's really delicious once you learn how to cook it. And this is Chad Kupanoff. I'm a chef living in Vietnam, and this is Street to Table, the show where we go on the street, we try some classic Vietnamese dishes, and we come home, cook them, give you a little recipe for them. Let's go on the street, I'll show you some dishes, we'll buy a lot more of these things. All right, I'll see you in a bit. All right, let's go. And we're here. Do you remember this place? Let's go see what the locals do with bitter melon. I gotta park first though. Chị ơi. Yeah. Cho em một dĩa có khô quào xào trứng và khô quào nhồi thịt. So in Vietnam, the two most popular ways for bitter melon are these two styles right here. Khô quào xào trứng and khô quào nhồi thịt. So this is bitter melon stir fried with egg and bitter melon stuffed with meat. You will find these at basically every single rice restaurant ever. They're super popular and super common. Let's try them. Very simple, a little bit crunchy, a little bit bitter, has pepper inside, so it's got a little bit of heat to it as well. People always say that the egg reduces the bitterness, that's why it's common to cook it with egg. So if you're a follower of the channel, you may remember in our previous episode about rice, which you can check out here if you want to see it, we actually came to this spot and we talked about how can or side soups are very important to a rice meal. Now normally you're always going to get a very simple light soup, which is the one they gave me over here, which is with the green squash, but every rice restaurant will always have stuffed bitter melon as a possible side soup. You'll pay extra for it though. So after the bitter melon's been hollowed out, it's always stuffed with like a minced pork mixture. Usually that will have ear mushroom and glass noodle inside. This one doesn't seem to have any ear mushroom. Everybody does it differently. Because hers doesn't have any ear mushroom or glass noodle, it's much firmer, which is kind of nice. I don't know what it is about the broth. Something happens to the broth. It's amazing. It's hard to explain. The broth is very light, very subtle, but a little sweet. Even people who don't like bitter melon, I still think they like the broth. Or a lot of times you hear about people who eat the meat and give the bitter melon to somebody else at the table. Now that you've seen the two most popular dishes made with bitter melon, let's go buy some bitter melon so we can make it. But I gotta pay first. Chị ơi, đính điền. Right now we're in District 7. We're at Chợ Tan Mi, which is one of my favorite markets in District 7. They have everything here and everything always looks so good. Let's go get some bitter melon. Wow, look at the big turtle. That's crazy. Wow, God, these little catfish are crazy. Chị ơi, cái này cái gì?
Lóc chải.
Cốt cải.
Lóc chải, ăn ngon lắm. Có 25.000.
25 một ký, okay.
Gì nữa không?
I have no idea what that is, but I have to buy it. I've never seen it before, so I'm getting it. So fucking cool. Dude, it's such a problem. I think I just saw soft shell crabs, which I've never seen here before. But today's about bitter melon. I gotta stay focused.
2,000 years later.
Oh, there's bitter melon. There's bitter melon. Chị ơi, khổ quả bao nhiêu một ký? So it's like $1.25 a kilo for bitter melon. I guess we're gonna buy a lot.
Cảm ơn.
Cảm ơn nhiều. 10.000 than tim xay và 5.000 tỏi xay. Cảm ơn chị nhiều. Cảm ơn. This is a cool little pot too. $2? Cảm ơn em nhiều. Cảm ơn. Holy crap, $8. Wow, that was a deal. I didn't even negotiate, but he gave me a discount the whole time. I need chap ball. I definitely need chap ball. Come on, you. Come on. Wow. This was all about 600,000, which is so cheap. All of this, like $13. And most of it's meat I'm gonna use for the next 3 days. And I got jab balm or pork floss that'll last me a month. Let's get started. Oh no, not quack. Whoop. There we go. So when we're talking about this beautiful little fruit here that we treat as a vegetable, if you're in southern Vietnam, you're gonna call this thing khổ qua. Khổ meaning difficult or struggle, and Wa meaning that it's already passed. So your struggles have already passed. This is something that's very commonly eating for the new year to symbolize like any struggles that you had in the previous year should now be gone. Although a lot of people who hate this thing will call it khổ quá, meaning that it's so difficult to eat it or it's such a struggle to consume it. If you're in northern Vietnam, they call this lup dang. And then in English speaking countries, you can call this bitter melon or bitter gourd. Call it whatever the heck you want. It's a bitter old thing. Let's cook it. Now before I show you how to make the stuffed bitter melon and the bitter melon stir fry with egg, we're gonna make something that's a little less common, although it's still common, called khổ quá chả bông, which is a raw bitter melon dish with the shredded pork floss on top. So let's get started with that. I should probably clean this up first. Now let's get started on that. First, let's get all our preparations ready for this dish. Cut the tip off the bitter melon and then in half. This little like membrane and seeds, and we're just gonna scoop that out with a spoon. But you can see it's kind of like fluffy. What you see all the time with bitter melon is the use of salt. Either they salt the bitter melon directly or add it to salted water to draw out the bitterness and let it sit for like 10 minutes. All right, so these have been soaking for a good 15 minutes now. We can pull them out. Okay, all right, and then we'll slice these. So people tend to, again, this is another argument people say to slice thin or thick. I don't really know which one I prefer, so I'll cut both and we'll see what happens. Something that's crucial about this dish is the bitter melon has to be really cold. To keep it cold, it's just to soak it in ice water. That's what I'm doing. The ice is supposed to just make it really crunchy. After 5 minutes, strain it, and it's ready for presentation. Now, the sauce. Really simple. Soy sauce, chili sauce, and a little more heat with some chili flake. To serve this, it's super simple. You just lay it out. I'm just trying to separate the fat ones from the thin ones so we can try both and see which one's better. So here's the pork floss that we got at the market, and I bought a lot of it. It's like pork cotton candy. It's pretty awesome. So we're just gonna put this on top. You can lay this out as fancy as you want. I've been told the more pork floss, the better. And finished. Bitter melon with pork floss. So you can see this dish is super simple to make. Sometimes it'll get served with rice. You get bitter melon, you grab your chả bông, and that's it. Very interesting texture. It's good though. The bitter melon is actually kind of fruity in this situation, eating it raw like this. And definitely gets more crispy. I think I like it thinner better. I think I'd rather have 2 thin pieces than 1 thick piece. It's very crunchy. It's somewhere in between a cucumber and like the rind of a watermelon. And I would say the bitterness is pretty darn mild here. I don't think it's very bitter at all. And the chả bông, the pork floss, is super chewy too. And I can agree, the more chả bông, the better. Bitter melon is a pretty interesting thing in Asia. It's something known that like old people like and maybe kids don't like, but the parents force the kids to eat it. So you hear a lot of horror stories of little kids getting yelled at by their mom or dad to eat their bitter melon because it's super healthy. Sure, Elaine, you wanna try it? You wanna try it? Good. Good? What do you think?
Good.
Good. That boy's one of the rare ones. He's an eater. He's got Vietnamese blood. That boy likes everything. But honestly, it's not that bitter. Liam, do you really like it? Here comes the real answer.
Medium.
Medium, why? You don't like the texture? You don't like the texture of the vegetable or the meat?
The meat.
Because it's so chewy? But you like the vegetable? You want to try the vegetable by itself?
No.
No, okay. Next, khổ quá xào trứng, our main course today, my favorite. Start by preparing the bitter melon with the same technique. Now we're at a moment of preference. My wife likes it thin, we're gonna cut it thin. Otherwise she'll give me crap. Let me tell you something very funny about bitter melon. Everyone has their theories on how to make it less bitter. Some people will say cut it thinner, it's less bitter. Some people will say cut it thicker, it's less bitter. Okay, whatever. All right, cut it however you want, cook it however you want. So we'll cut it on a bias. Once again, salt and bitter melon always come together. For the first one, we soaked in salt water. For this one, we're just gonna do straight salt in there. So I add about a tablespoon in here. It doesn't really matter because we're gonna wash it off. Meanwhile, we're preparing for the khổ quá nhồi thịt. We're basically gonna make a pork sausage to put inside of that. So we have our minced pork, we have some dried ear mushroom, dry glass noodle, and some shallot. The same kind of thing, we gotta scoop out the insides, although this is a little bit different. Okay, for the first style, which may be slightly easier, although you get less filling in it, is just to cut them in half, like that. If you have a really small spoon, you can try to stick that in and just twist it, and you can get the pith out like that. Now you can see it's nice and clean in there. And the other style that may be a little bit harder, but might be a little bit nicer depending on what you're trying to do, is to serve it whole. So we're just gonna cut a line on the inside, not all the way through it, just like that. And then we can kind of push it on both sides and open it up a little bit like that. Whoa! I'll push on both sides and open it up a little bit, and then we can scoop it. You want to try to scoop it as carefully as you can. If you're really rough with it, it'll kind of open up as you cook it. Okay, that's it. Here we go. Now we got all of them prepped. So what did we learn about bitter melon so far? After we cut it, then we soak it, or we put salt on it somehow. So I have salt water again. We'll let these soak again for like 10 or 15 minutes. Everyone's always trying to reduce the bitterness. It's bitter melon, it's bitter. That's what it is. Time for the filling. First, start soaking the ear mushroom in the dry glass noodle. It takes about 15-20 minutes for them to fully soften up. Strain it and cut it really fine. With the ear mushroom, remove the hard part at the end, roll it, and cut it really fine again. These two ingredients will give the filling a lot of texture. 95% of the time I've eaten this dish is always made with minced pork. Very few, but some will make it with this, yawsum, which is pork paste. So I'm gonna make both versions because I always wanted to try this and this is the perfect opportunity to try it. I'm gonna steal a little bit of the pork mince to break up the texture slightly. For the filling, we're gonna add the ear mushroom. The meat, as it cooks, will kind of absorb the soup and break down, so it will soften the sausage. So it always has a little bit of a bite. And I'm gonna add the shallot. Basic seasoning wise, salt, MSG if you want it. I'm going fish sauce, not everyone does, up to you. Black pepper, super common on the inside. I have like mushroom seasoning. This is basically like chicken powder, if you're familiar with that. That's it. Some people will season with sugar, especially in the South. I'm not gonna do that. No sugar. And let's mix it up. Anytime you're doing a stuffing, always taste it before you proceed. And a good strategy is just to microwave it because it's super fast. So I'm gonna do that. That's it, so fast. All right, let's try it. It's terrible. I'm just kidding, it's pretty darn good already. Both of these are seasoned actually pretty well. Pork paste one is a little bit over seasoned. And when I season the broth, I'm gonna season it carefully, knowing that this will be a little bit over seasoned. But that salt should leak out into the broth, so it shouldn't be a problem. All right, so these bitter melons have been soaking this whole time, and we'll stuff them. The ones that are cut in half are definitely easier. With these, you definitely wanna make sure you fill them heavy because there's not a lot of space. So I'm gonna put it on the top, try to press it as I go, just to make sure it gets all the way down and there's like no air pocket. You know, it's like so different cooking at home compared to the vendor trying to cook on the street. They have to think about making that profit. What I have to think about is trying to make it taste as good as possible. So I just try to get as much meat as I can possibly on there. So that looks really cool. So for this style, it is, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a little harder to stuff. So again, I'm gonna like pinch the sides out and then just bring it in and shove it in. But this style, I can get more meat in it. That's why it's really cool. Luckily for me, I have some chicken stock in the freezer, so I'm gonna use that. It's still a little frozen, but that's cool, no problem. I'm not gonna let that chicken fat go to waste, give me that. It's up to you how much broth you want. And I'm gonna basically just fully cover them. It's always a battle of how much broth, because everybody wants broth, but the more broth you put in, the less flavor there's gonna be because it gets diluted. But that's why I made way too much meat, because I knew I had too much meat. Let's make meatballs. This will give me a lot more flavor for my soup too. So I'm gonna be like super jam-packed, meat heavy, tons of flavor. It's gonna be great. My kids will always eat the meatballs and not eat the bitter melon. A lot of kids did that. They would scoop out the meat, eat that, and give the bitter melon to their parents. All right, now we're gonna gently simmer this for, it's up to you, at least 30 minutes. An hour and 15 if you really want them tender. Well, let's get it started. So I got my lid on, we'll let this thing cook. People always keep telling me how healthy bitter melon is, but I never really read about it. Let's find out. Bitter melon contains numerous powerful antioxidants, including catechin, epicatechin. These antibiotics help fight against radicals caused by oxidative damage, including cancers, aging, heart disease, and chronic conditions. That's good. I'm gonna score a lot of points after today. Promotes skin health and proper vision. Oh, I like all these things. Is it healthy to eat bitter melon every day? Okay, an excessive consumption can cause mild abdominal pain or diarrhea. That's just a normal day for me, so that's no big deal. Yeah, bitter melon's healthy. Don't eat too much or you have diarrhea. That seems like it. We'll see what happens. I will report back in a week to see if that helped. Cool, cool, cool. All right, let's eat some more bitter melon. After eating that raw version, which I really like, I may cook this a little bit less than I used to, but I know my wife likes it really soft, so I will cook it soft. So I'm gonna add a splash of water, and then I'm gonna put a lid on top. This is gonna be about, for me, about 10 minutes. So we'll just start cracking some eggs. What about you, Lean? What kind of bitter melon are you gonna eat tonight? Stuffed or scrambled?
I don't like bitter melon.
Why? What if I yell at you really loud and tell you enjoy it? Do you think you'll like it more? You don't know? Tasting it right now, it does have some bitterness to it. So when I add the egg, some of that should be removed. This has been going for maybe 40 minutes. You can see the color has definitely changed on the bitter melon. They're much lighter in color. The stock is deeper in color. Let's taste it. I didn't put any seasoning in this yet, so it's definitely a little bit bland, although it does have some salt from the meat that was in there. So I'm gonna season this very simply with salt and MSG. If I season this aggressively, like to my salt level, my wife will think it's too salty, but that's okay. All right, but this is really close. Let's go finish the version, stir fry with the egg, and this will be ready by that time. All right, let's add the egg. Don't undercook the egg. As an American, as a Westerner, I tend to try to cook them soft. It doesn't work for this. Cook these eggs hard. You wanna like fry them for a while. In my mind, these eggs are overcooked, but it's the right texture for this. Simply season with salt, pepper, a handful of green onion, cilantro, a final touch of seasoning, and it's perfect. I promise this is the last time I check the seasoning. Honestly, I want more salt. Toyoi! Can you come here? I don't want to add too much salt. She's gonna get pissed off. I don't want you to be upset if I put more salt in.
This is good.
This is good. I told you, I knew it.
I put a tiny bit.
Tiny bit more salt.
This is salt. This is perfect.
Perfect. But you'll take it a little bit over seasoned for me.
That's good. That's enough.
Okay. Okay. Fine? It's not the best you've ever had? Fine. There you go. It's acceptable.
Incredible.
Wow. I told you.
Perfect.
I knew it. You heard it here first. She's a Vietnamese woman. This seems excessive, but I'm sure it's gonna be fine. All of it. And a lot of pepper. And you can see how much green is on top of this now. That's awesome. Now it looks so fresh and alive and exciting, and it's gonna have all this onion flavor. Look at these little things taking a bath in green onion. All right, let's eat it. Children, come get your bitter melon. Would you like to try some delicious melon?
Yeah,
Good.
you mean delicious bitter melon.
No, it's not bitter. All right, I'll give you guys a little bit of the egg one. Maybe we try this one first. And Daddy put so much egg in here. All right, try it.
Tiny bit of bitterness.
Tiny bit of bitterness, okay.
Delicious with the egg.
How's the texture? What's wrong?
Yes.
Are you dying? What about you?
Yum.
Medium? Do you like it or is it okay?
I like it.
You like it. Well, that's good.
I just like the egg.
You like the egg. And how about try the melon? Because I saw you eat the egg, but I didn't see you try this. Try that. What do you think? Do you? If you don't like it, you can say that.
I like it a little bit.
You like it a little bit? That's what I'm talking about. Good boys. All right, let's try the other one.
Hola.
You like it?
It's soft.
Soft? Do you like the egg one or do you like the stuffed one better?
Stuffed one better.
Why?
I still had a little bit of bitterness in the egg.
In the egg one.
Yeah, I love the texture, but I hate it.
You hate the bitter,
Yeah.
but you love the texture. But the one that's stuffed, you feel like is less bitter when you eat the melon alone?
I barely feel any bitterness. I like the texture. The soft is just tasty.
Wow, Treat, that was an excellent food review. Excellent, very good use of words, dude. How about you?
What?
Medium, slightly more than medium. That's a pretty high thumb rating for a 5-year-old boy. Which one do you like better, the egg one or the stuffed one? Really? You guys, honestly,
I like both.
you guys kicked butt today. Good job, thank you very much. Tree, you were very descriptive. You expressed your points very clearly. You can have as much as you want, all right? We can eat dinner now.
Please subscribe.
Keep subscribing, please. Good job, Liam. Sucker him in with your cuteness. Subscribe for the little boy here who's gonna cry tonight. It'll be okay. All right, now I want a bowl. I think darn good. I'm not gonna say it's better than the vendor on the street because of course, hers is quite good too. But it's hard to compete when you have this much egg. It's very tasty. I don't remember when I first tried bitter melon, but I know I didn't love it. I know I didn't hate it, but I know I didn't love it. And I know the first time I tried this style, that was to me, I thought the best style. And I thought the easiest style for most people to try it, because it's just very subtle. The more I have eaten the stuffed version, this has the most warming broth, the most soul satisfying broth of any soup I've probably ever tried. This to me is peak. This is the best style of bitter melon I've ever had. I love it so much. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, otherwise Liam is gonna cry tonight. A lot more coming. If there's any dish you're curious about to see us taste or to see how to make it, let us know. We'll put that at the top of the list to do next. Have a great day. That's a wrap. Woo! That's a wrap.